The couple left the royal family after months of racist attacks from British tabloids without any support from the palace. It was so bad the Duchess said she was at the breaking point.
I went to one of the most senior people just to get help. And that, you know, I share this because there are so many people who are afraid to voice that they need help. And I know personally how hard it is to not just voice it, but when you voice it, to be told no. Oof. And so I went to Human Resources.
Hold up. You're saying Buckingham Palace has HR? How long has that been around? Because you would think someone in Human Resources might have stepped in to tell Henry VIII that chopping off your wife's head could be interpreted as a hostile work environment. Ariel and Meghan have a lot in common. I mean, who can forget that cruel headline in the Daily Mail? Princess Ariel's hairstyle is forked up. It was clear that the Duchess didn't know what she was signing up for.
You were marrying a 1,200-year-old institution. You're marrying the monarchy. What did you think it was going to be like?
Well, I didn't do any research about what that would mean.
You didn't do any research?
No. I've never looked up my husband online.
What? Let me introduce this thing called Google, okay? Over there, I think it's called Lori. It's full of useful information. For instance, turns out your husband knew Princess Di. That might have been a hint that this was going to be a rough gig. Also, while you're Googling, you might want to try the combo Andrew, Island, and Epstein. It'll give you an idea what the royal family is okay with.
When we were in Canada, I had 3 conversations with my grandmother and 2 conversations with my father. Before he stopped taking my calls.
He's ducking his son's calls? It always hurts when your father won't listen to you, especially when he has these ears. Really a waste. But the couple says their real in-law problem centered around their son Archie, especially when the palace wanted to deny him a royal title and the accompanying security detail.
The title, was him being called a prince, Archie being called a prince, was that important to you?
If it meant he was going to be safe, then of course. All the grandeur surrounding this stuff is an attachment that I don't personally have, right? I've been a waitress, an actress, a princess, a duchess. I've always just still been Meghan, right?
Not right. You are also Rachel Zane, paralegal turned attorney at Spectre Lit, doing the law by day and Mike Ross by night. Come on! Are you telling me the 7 years I spent watching Suits meant nothing? The Duchess was grateful for her commoner roots.
Thank God I had that life experience. Thank God I had known the value of working. My first job was when I was 13 at a frozen yogurt shop called Humphrey Yogurt.
But one of the true outrageous bombshells, really heartbreaking, is when Meghan recalled this troubling conversation.
In those months when I was pregnant, all around this same time, so we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title, and also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
I agree. What? And let me just add, huh? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there is a possibility, just a possibility, mind you, that this medieval selective breeding program might be racist. Oprah tried to follow up on this bombshell revelation.
Ooh. And you're not going to tell me who had the conversation?
I think that would be very damaging to them.
But this morning, Oprah went on Gayle King and the Kingettes to drop this breadcrumb.
He did not share the identity with me, but he wanted to make sure that I knew, and if I had an opportunity to share it, that it was not his grandmother nor his grandfather that were a part of those conversations.
Okay, so it's not the Queen or Prince Philip. So that narrows it down to everyone else at the palace. Could be Charles, could be Camilla, could be the Corgis. They're a bunch of bitches. Anyway, it was an amazing interview, and it was so refreshing to leave American celebrity culture behind and watch Oprah sit down with 2 humble...
Hey everyone, welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad. If you're here for the truth, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle walked away from the royal family after relentless attacks from the British press and a complete lack of support from the palace. Meghan herself admitted that things got so bad, she was at her breaking point. Let's talk about this for a second. How does an institution as old as the monarchy, which claims to be a family, ignore the well-being of one of its own? Oh wait, they have a human resources department? Since when? Because if HR existed back in the day, someone should have tapped King Henry VIII on the shoulder and said, "Hey, maybe don't behead your wives. It's bad workplace policy." And let's not forget the ridiculous media treatment. The Daily Mail and other tabloids ran hit pieces on Meghan for the most absurd reasons, right down to how she held her baby bump. But where was this energy when other royal women did the exact same thing? Oh right, the double standard is alive and well. And the real heartbreak? When Meghan was pregnant with Archie, there were conversations within the palace about his skin tone. His skin tone. Let that sink in. A centuries-old institution obsessed with purity found itself concerned about a child born in the 21st century. And they expected Harry and Meghan to stay in that toxic environment. But the biggest betrayal? Harry tried to work things out. He had conversations with his father, King Charles, only for Charles to eventually stop taking his calls. Imagine that, ghosting your own son. And yet, they expect Harry to just move on and play happy family? Let's be real. Harry and Meghan weren't just escaping the press. They were escaping a system that was never going to protect them. And instead of acknowledging their failings, the royal machine doubled down, using every media outlet at their disposal to smear them. But guess what? It didn't work. The Sussexes are thriving. They have their freedom, their family, and a global platform where they control their own narrative. The numbers don't lie. Harry and Meghan continue to dominate global headlines, attract massive audiences, and receive unwavering support from people worldwide, while the royal family's approval ratings, particularly for King Charles and Queen Camilla, are plummeting. Despite the relentless smear campaigns, Harry and Meghan have remained two of the most recognizable and influential figures in the world. Their Netflix projects, Spotify podcast, and public appearances continue to draw millions of viewers. The Invictus Games, spearheaded by Harry, garners international respect and attention, proving that he is a leader in his own right, far beyond the confines of the royal institution. Meghan, once vilified by the British tabloids, has found her voice and platform beyond the monarchy. From her Archetypes podcast to philanthropic endeavors, she continues to champion issues such as women's empowerment, racial equality, and mental health awareness. And let's not forget, when Harry and Meghan step out, the media follows. Their presence at high-profile events like the Invictus Games and Hollywood galas generates buzz. And unlike the royals, they don't need an outdated system to stay relevant. Meanwhile, the British royal family is struggling to maintain its grip on public support. Polls in the UK show declining approval ratings, especially for King Charles and Queen Camilla. Young people in particular are turning away from the monarchy, questioning its relevance in modern times. Even in Commonwealth nations like Australia, Canada, and the Caribbean, the calls to remove the British monarch as head of state are growing louder. Let's be real. Charles's coronation wasn't exactly a moment of national unity. It was a bloated spectacle that cost taxpayers millions during a cost-of-living crisis, while protests against the monarchy made headlines. His approval rating has failed to soar, and Camilla? Well, she remains as unpopular as ever. The younger generation isn't buying into the royal fairy tale anymore. They see the monarchy for what it is, an outdated institution built on privilege and inequality. A growing number of young Brits believe the royal family is no longer necessary, and in Commonwealth nations, there's increasing momentum to break free from the British crown. And who do younger people gravitate toward? Harry and Meghan. Their story resonates because they broke free from a toxic system, stood up for their mental health, and forged their own path. While the palace clings to outdated traditions, the Sussexes are shaping the future on their own terms. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Harry and Meghan are thriving, while the monarchy struggles to stay relevant. The Sussexes are the future, and no amount of tabloid spin can change that. And that's why we support them here. If you stand with Harry and Meghan, hit that subscribe button and show some love with a super thanks. Let's keep the truth alive.